What's going on, everyone? This is Francois Mark, Francois Harris, whatever you want to call me. I like Francois Mark. Francois Mark sounds better. My late grandfather used to call me that, so I love going by that name. Anyways, welcome back to another episode, another podcast with Francois. And I was just thinking about how when I moved abroad, when I moved away, some people, especially in my family, told me that I was moving away because I was running away from something. There's some kind of trauma in my life that happened, and in order for me to distance myself from it, I decided to leave the country. Well, that may be true, that may not be true. However, I like to think that I didn't run away from the country. I moved out of the country searching for different opportunities, right? I don't know if anyone would want to gather so many resources in order to run away from something outside of an environment where they have more control over. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm saying that if I were indeed running away from something, I had to amass so many different resources, so many different things that I didn't have really access to at that time. I had to work and gather these things, right? In order to move out of the country to an area, to a situation that was completely alien to me, in order to run away from my trauma. When I think back at that, I laugh a bit, but at the same time, I can understand why a person would say that, because maybe in their lives, they would also, or they would try their best to run away as far as they can from, or as far as they could, from traumas that happened in their life. You can see I have a beard going on. I didn't shave, I didn't cut my hair, anything like that. I'm just trying to see how my face looks with a lot of hair. See if I can actually grow some more hair on my head. Looks like I can't. There's a bald spot right here. But yeah, I was just thinking, being away from my family and my friends in the United States, it could appear as if I were running away. However, in my life, in my thinking, in my perspective, I wasn't running away. I left the United States searching for opportunities. I remember working at these dead-end jobs, working as a cashier, working as a supervisor at a grocery store, working at the bank. And I know many people will work these jobs, and I'm not saying that they're dead end because they have no future. I'm saying they're dead end because of the potential that I was trying to reach in my life. So those jobs really didn't fit into what I had planned or what I thought I could do in my life. So I left the United States not to run away from any trauma. I left to create some opportunities for myself. I grew up not being able to speak French, and my name is Francois. So many people will ask me, can you speak French? I'm like, no, I can't. They're like, why is your name Francois? And of course, it's always the same. My mom loved French culture, so she named me Francois. And that is a valid reason, but it can only fly, so long until you get into the upper echelons of not society, but into the fields of education, and trying to reach and find your potential. You can't keep saying this same excuse, Francois. You can't keep saying my mom, my mom, my mom. I decided that I wanted to do something about it. So I left the United States. I didn't run away. I left the United States in order to add some credence, some validity to my name, so I could be seen as a person who had this name that was not common in the United States, but I was deserving of having this name, right? I didn't have a regular name like Robert or Sean or something like that, right? I had a name, Francois, not common. So living in the United States with this name, you have to prove it, right? Or at least I thought I should prove why I have this name. So I left the country. Another reason why I left the country is because I always felt like I didn't belong. And I've said this on my other channel as well, but I've said it sparingly, but here I can talk about it in more detail. I would always feel like I'm just here. And I also believed in a lot of things and followed a lot of trends, or a lot of I guess social constructs that a lot of my friends and family members didn't follow. And they would say that I'm kind of crazy, right? They're like, Why do you believe in this? Like, even I was to a certain extent a conspiracy theorist, and that was not a good time in my life, not at all. I lost a potential romantic partner because I kept telling her about these would-be conspiracy theories that would pop up or that could pop up, and she just couldn't take it anymore, and she dumped me, right? And I can understand why she dumped me, because even me, when I'm talking about these things in the past, I was like, why am I talking about this? But I got it from another place I'll mention later. But yeah, I always believed in things or saw things a bit different from everyone around me. And I felt kind of like people here can't fully understand me, so I should find my own place, my own situation, my own freedom where I could fully express myself, or even if I have to be alone in that place, I could feel comfortable, being weird, expressing the weirdness in my life. That is one reason. Another reason why I left. My name. I have to add some support to my name, and I want to build a community or build a place where I can, be free to be weird, I guess, right? So those are the main two reasons why I left the United States. Another reason why I decided to leave and then later to not go back is because inside of me I have this wanderlust, and I think I did get this from my mom. I got it from my mom, maybe from my grandmother and my grandfather as well, but definitely my mom wanted to travel the world. I think she went to Germany or France one time before I was born or something. But yeah, she would always have this idea of leaving the country, leaving America, and she actually did when the oldest of my sisters was born. My mom moved my sister and her to Germany, and they lived in Germany. I don't remember, 6 months, maybe. Was it a year or something? Time went by very fast. It might be longer than a year, but there's always in my blood, or I can always see people around me moving around and going to the airport. My uncle, he used to fly in and out of the country often, and I didn't understand at that time what it meant to live abroad or go outside of the country or take a plane or things like that until I got older and I needed to do some support initiative for my name. So that's when I decided to move abroad, take a trip abroad and see how I liked it. And once I got out of the United States, yeah, I definitely did not want to go back, because I just saw how life was so different living abroad than it was in the United States. Medical fees were cheaper, the food tasted better. The people I met, they were people, just like in the United States, but they lived differently. They moved differently, and it just attracted me so much. And also, I got this kind of, I don't want to say halo, but I got this kind of aura around me, I'm an American and I'm living abroad, and it felt good. It felt good to say this, to think that I'm an American. I'm not living in America, I'm living in France. I'm traveling to Spain, I'm traveling to Italy, I'm traveling to Germany, I'm going to all of these places. So there was some kind of warm and good feelings that came along with that, like a dopamine rush, right? And the more, or the longer I stayed abroad, the more I wanted to stay abroad. Do you understand what I mean? I did not want to return to this life that I had before, where I was driving hours and hours to go to work, to go home. I was at the grocery store. I was happy. I'm happy that I had jobs and stuff, but it just didn't, there's something deep down inside of me that existed, and it wasn't being loved. It wasn't being cared for. It wasn't being supported. It wasn't being nurtured, being in the United States. And once I left the United States, I found that care, that support that I needed. And it could be that I grew up in a single parent household. Maybe I was looking for a way to find some other part of me that was missing. I don't think I was necessarily running away from my living situation in America, but I was searching for something more. And it doesn't necessarily mean money either. I just wanted a different way of life. Because trust me, by no means am I rich. By no means was I rich when I left the United States. I have a YouTube channel. I barely make $100 a month on my YouTube channel. And I have like a good job though. I make, pretty good living with the job that I do. But for my extracurricular activities, like the extra books that I have, I've published 2 books. I should publish more. I don't make so much money from those books. I don't even make $20 a month from those books. But I've started something outside of the United States. Started something that is building myself abroad that I don't think I would have been able to build if I had have stayed in the United States, because I just didn't have the mentality. So moving abroad wasn't for running away. Moving abroad was running to something. It was running to me being able to find my potential. It was me moving toward being able to look at the world in a different light. It was being able to open up different avenues of success. It was opening up me. It was opening up my ability to progress myself, to not be held by the same tenets of society that all of my friends and family were held to in the United States. It was for me to journey, to see what the world had to offer. I don't want to even say I researched, I studied world history in high school. And even though we didn't get a chance to like finish the book, we didn't even get a chance to go into like many chapters of the book. I took time and I read the book, the textbook myself. And I think I've said this before, we got to, or at least I got to a chapter about World War I and then World War II. I read these chapters and I was like, my goodness, there's a completely different world out there. There's a Japan, there's a Germany, there's a France, there's an England, there's a Spain, there's all these places, there's Africa. And don't even get me started on me not even truly knowing about my lineage, me not even understanding what it meant to be African American. But I do remember that being outside of America, I didn't experience the same. There's always like this pervasive like feeling that I'm being pushed in when I was in the United States. It happened when I moved to Texas with my family. And I guess this would be an episode for another day. But living abroad, the feeling is just completely different for me. So in all, I ran toward being able to reach my potential, not running away from past traumas in my life. And maybe you will too once you decide to move abroad. Thanks for watching this episode. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed spilling all of my heart and my beans, spilling my beans, to you. So hope you guys enjoyed it and got some value from it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.